Hello everyone and welcome to the Fiat SUV Coupe, a fastback design. This is the first look and full specs with the 1 liter and the 1.3 liter turbo flex engines. And so this is the Italian car maker's Fiat SUV Coupe. So I'm going to go through the design with you with a prototype that you've seen, and I'll give you the specifics of dimensions and engine and outputs and when we can actually expect it. So if that's the reason why you're here, do not move an inch. Let's get down to the business of the coupe. So what you saw is actually the brother or the sister, whichever way you want to put it, the Fiat Pulse that has been in the system for a while. But let's look at the Fiat SUV coupe that we are here about. Okay, so the Fiat SUV coupe that you're looking at will have the same fenders, hood, and even have the same front as the Fiat Pulse. All right, so that's what you're looking at. And on the other side, the Fiat Fastback will have the same visual identity as the Pulse, which will also yield the front doors. Okay, the rear ones, let's look at it. On the other hand, must have the same design as the Cronos. So this is the Cronos. Let me show you. Right, that's the sedan, and at least that's what the prototype indicates, that it would have that sort of design also on it. At the rear, the tail lamps are horizontal and extend through the trunk lid, and that's what you're looking at. You can also identify the nameplate that will be housed in the luggage compartment lid as indicated in the prototype with a camouflage on it. It is in an early stage of design, and so there isn't much definitive details that we can give, but we'll try and do as much as we can. Now, the SUV coupe will have dimensions that's close to the Cronos with 4.3 meters in length. The width should be close to 1.7 meters, just as the sedan. And since this has a slightly bigger wheelbase, we're expecting a slightly bigger wheel base. This is actually called a CSUV by suppliers, and so the Fiat Fastback will have wheels with 5 holes due to its larger size in diameter. So you can tell from the prototype that it's going to run on a slightly larger, bigger tires. Interestingly, the brake system will be disc for the front wheel braking system, and the rear braking system would have a drum system, which I believe is a bit of a letdown, but let's just see if it will turn out exactly same or there may be some changes. Now, information reaching us is that the SUV that will be born from Project 376 as a fastback and will have a 1.0 liter turbo flex T200 engine in addition to the 1.3 liter turbo flex T270 engines. Okay, so the Project 376, as Fiat SUV coupe is called, will hit the market with 2 engine options, and I'm going to lay them down. The Pulse's sister will not only have the 1.3 liter turbo flex T270 engine as already stated, but it will also have an entry version with the 1.0 liter T200 flex propeller. Right, if the automotive supply chain starts to normalize as early as is expected, the Fiat SUV coupe will be launched in the first half of 2022, and that gives us up to somewhere in June. So let me lay a little bit of emphasis on the power outputs of these 2 different turbo engines. Like as earlier stated, in entry-level versions, you have the 1.0 liter turbo flex engine, that's called the T200, which puts out 125 horsepower at 5,750 RPM and a torque of 20.4 kilograms of force. This should translate to about 200 Newton meters at 1,700 RPM when this particular one is fueled with a gasoline fuel. Now, if the same engine is powered with ethanol, the power output changes from 125 to 130 horsepower at 5,750 RPM and the same Newton meters of torque at 1,700 RPM. Now, this engine would be linked to the CVT automatic transmission that simulates 7 virtual gears. Now, there is going to be a more expensive version and in an Abarth trim or range, which is also going to be part of the Fiat Fastback range, and the model will have the 1.3 liter turbo T270 flex engine with power of about 180 horsepower with the gasoline and 185 horsepower with the ethanol. while the torque is at 27.5 kilograms of force, which is about 270 Newton meters of torque. Now, this will only be linked to a 6-speed automatic transmission as we are discussing, okay? So that is it. But if you go back, you can tell what I'm talking about in the prototype pictures that courtesy Auto Segredos provided. And so it's a bit clunky, and the camouflage on it is a bit huge, so you can't really tell much of design changes. But let me wrap this whole thing up with a safety. And in terms of safety, the Fiat SUV Coupe, which is aka Project 376, will follow its sister Pulse, so it will have side airbags on all versions. And among the compulsory equipment are front airbags, traction and stability controls. You've also got ABS brakes with the EBD system on it. And if you get to the above trim or the more expensive versions, the SUV will feature the ADS technology, that's the driver assistant technologies that include the AEB, simply put, autonomous emergency braking. You've also got the involuntary lane change alert, and finally you would get the automatic high lighting switching system also on those high expensive trims. So basically, this is what to expect in Fiat's new SUV in a coupe-like design or fastback design, okay? And Autostop is going to pursue this particular vehicle and update you from time to time. So if you really want more and want to make decisive decisions based on some of these things, just subscribe if you haven't, and put a thumbs up if you liked it, and put your questions in the comment section if you have any. Welcome to 2022. And have a great time this year, and until we meet same time again. Bye bye.